In this video, I'm going to describe the next three stages: the alphabetic stage, the transitional stage, and the intermediate stage of literacy. So again, in the alphabetic stage, you can think about this is where the child would be, just beginning to read words, sounding out a few words, those kinds of things. So at this stage, we begin to see vowels present in the child's writing. Affricates or affricates sounds with the same feeling when voiced, like a CH sound and a soft G sound. So I can say ch or j, and you can hear there's a little bit of a voice in that j that you don't hear in the ch. And they begin to learn long and short vowels, and they begin to blend two consonants into a single sound. In reading, they're very slow readers. They point to the words. They often need to read aloud. In writing, their writing begins to be readable both to themselves and to others. They write sound by sound and often don't know the spelling of a word, but they can sound out the word. So you can see they go through early, middle, and late with their writing in this stage, and this would be what they could do at those three different stages. So you need to do different things for each student. From the teacher's perspective, you could do things like echo and choral reading, texts that are supportive for these readers are both predictable and familiar. So you can do word sorts, and we're going to do a little bit of word sorts and thinking about why and how we would do word sorts in another video. And you could also have word banks, so the banks could be individual for each child. You want to make sure that you're using words that the reader can read, so that there's some automaticity in their reading, and you also want to work with word families. So the CVC, I think you know what that means, is consonant, vowel, consonant. So you might have words in the family cat, and also in the family tin. So you have two or more CVC short vowels. You want to help them to increase their spelling and vocabulary. You want to make sure that they have books that they can read that are very low text and are very, as we said before, supportive of the reader. A language experience means that the child tells you a story, you write it down, and then the child reads that back. It's often accompanied by a picture, either one that the child has drawn, or in today's digital age, it could be a picture that you've taken and either printed out or are showing to the child electronically. And so whatever the child says is happening in that picture gets written down word for word, and then you support the child in reading that back, and then he or she can read it back on his own. Shared reading as a group with large books and large print, guided reading, and as you go through the courses, guided reading will become more important. When you have English language learners, you can do word sorts, using a partner with the children so that they can benefit from that. We're going to talk about closed sorts and open sorts in our video on word sorts and how to use them. And so you want to be constantly assessing the child to make sure that you're giving them the instruction that they need. Games that you can play, and remember that you want to make sure that you are providing reading for students that appeals to the reader. Things you can encourage parents to do. I'm going to pause so you can read this. You can also come back to it. And then suggested reading. These are some popular books that are very good for this stage. And more books. Again, we have Brown Bear, but now the child would be able to read it on his or her own. And some links for resources. And now we become transitional learners. Okay, so here are some ways that you can tell if the child is a transitional reader. So one thing that you can do in a classroom that's very simple is give every child time to read. And this slide says they must read for 30 minutes each day independently in partners or with a teacher's support. So if you had 15 minutes of dear time and 15 minutes when children were reading in partners, that would get to their 30 minutes, and then you could also read with them with the teacher's support, and then they would have even more time. So you really want to think in a classroom about how much time does the child have to read. Things that you can also do. Okay, so what can the parents do at home? Again, there's a good list here. Some of these are repeated from earlier slides. If you need more time, come back to this. And here's a word sort activity that parents can do with their children at home. And we'll talk about this a little bit in our discussion. Okay, books that are appropriate. The Horrible Harry books are very popular with kids at this level. Hot Fudge Hero, Maniac Monkeys on Magnolia Street, and here we have a book that features African American children, so plus for that one. And then resources here. Okay, so finally we approach the intermediate readers and writers. So things that go on in the classroom, partner reading, and we talked about that with transitional readers, so this can be even more important in our upper elementary classrooms. Flashcards and board games, if you're talking about learning patterns and spelling patterns within words. And here's some examples. So we're looking here at EL and LE endings. So these are things, and the little part here, it says you can even make these at home, or you can, this could be something a parent could help you make. Okay, so these are the things that you need. Here's a game to play with plurals or homophones or irregular past, sleep and slept, slide and slid. What can parents do? Again, many of these are the same ideas that we had on previous slides. And books. Maniac Magee, Bloomability, and here's some more resources that you can give to parents. Okay.